I'm constantly watching and reading the news. I kind of start in the mornings as I scroll through some of my social media news feeds, and then listen to the radio on my way to work, and then throughout the school day, I'm checking various means or media forms of social media, including Twitter or Facebook, and then at night, I often will have the TV on, the news in the background, so I feel like I'm constantly being inundated with the news.
Sometimes I read the news on Twitter, which is just from like news sources like Fox and CNN, so it really depends on what it is.
I do not watch the news. I receive news via email from the Washington Post. It's easier that way for me to just scan through on my way to work, or if I have breaks and sort of downtime.
I think I get most of my news information online. You know, if I'm looking at my phone in between, you know, maybe in the morning before heading off to work, just seeing what the headlines are. I tend to read Yahoo just because it seems to be a general information. A source of information, and then I'll also use a lot of local resources in the Washington area, like WTOP News. I'll check their website a lot.
When I think about where we are right now as it relates to fake news in our society, something that comes to mind is the election of 2016. So the idea of fake news, we're still talking about it today, and some foreign agents impacting our election in that way. And I also think about, you know, in our society and the way we use media today, sometimes we can just be skimming through the headlines, but not actually clicking on the articles and reading through and checking the sources, right? So people might just get a small window into what an article might have said, and then in just using the headline, you know, think that the story had said one type of argument, when in reality it was so much more, or maybe the source was not even credible in the first place.
In my classes, I teach students about media literacy, and I teach them how to spot fake news and distinguish the real from what people are putting out there to just create hysteria or to create a certain opinion.
I think people are entitled to know who we are. They're entitled to know how to reach us. We can show more of the documents that we depend on in doing our reporting. We can disclose more, perhaps full transcripts or full audio of interviews that we've conducted. We can just be more open about that, and I think that would help. I don't pretend that that's going to entirely do the job, but it won't hurt. That's for sure, and it could help.
We tell our students to cite all of their information. You cannot write a paper without citing your information. So my gut reaction is yes, journalists should report where they receive their information so that we know that it's true.
Journalists and reporters should be citing their information, and it's actually just so easy now with being able to publish something online, including a footnote in your work, where we can always go and check if there's a study, for example, we can go and check the source of the study and see the methodology used.
The careless use of the term fake news is not just injurious to the body politic, it puts journalists in real danger. Those of us who travel overseas, especially to war zones and other troubled areas around the globe, frequently encounter members of the U.S.-based media who risk their lives. Some lose their lives reporting on the truth. To dismiss their work as fake news is an affront to their commitment and their sacrifice.
In terms of fake news, media consumers have trouble perhaps deciphering where their most trusted news sources really do come from. So, you know, just kind of seeking out multiple news outlets sometimes could be helpful.
I would hope that reporters are not rushing to get out information before fact-checking, but I don't doubt that it happens.
I generally don't really care what other people think because it's my opinion, so.
I'm used to presenting information. I don't always write with my opinion as part of it. So I think for me, I don't worry about that as much because I am usually not inserting my opinion into the story. But I do think that, you know, it can be tough if you're putting your opinion out there.
I always worry about the reaction I'll get about when posting an opinionated piece. And actually, it's one of the reasons that I don't post my opinions on my social media. So if something really controversial is happening in the news, I'll text my best friend instead of taking to social media to post my thoughts around it.
Simply put, it is the press's obligation to uncover the truth about power. It is the people's right to criticize their government, and it is our job as politicians to take it.